Welcome to reading and studying the Book of Mormon with me. I'm so excited to have you along for the ride of being my study buddy and seeing what we can learn together today. And as we read Mosiah Chapter 22 today, I hope you're able to find something you can take into your life to help you with your problems now. That's the power of Scripture, is being able to find something that actually helps us in our life. So let's be on the lookout for anything we can find that's helpful to us today. Now, in today's chapter 22 of Mosiah, we're at the end of a story arc of a story within a story. There's plenty of those in the Book of Mormon. But this is a wonderful triumphant chapter where the people of King Limhi are delivered from captivity out of the hands of the Lamanites. And if you've been following along with me in the previous few chapters, then you'll know some of their failed escape attempts and how they were lured into captivity into the Lamanite hands to begin with. It's been a really hard go of it for the people of Limhi, but they are finally delivered. Again, after many failed attempts, this is the chapter where they finally are able to break free and leave with the people of Ammon. So let's go ahead and get started with Mosiah chapter 22. The summary reads, "Plans are made for the people to escape from Lamanite bondage. The Lamanites are made drunk. The people escape and return to Zarahemla and become subject to King Mosiah." All right, verse 1. "Now it came to pass that Ammon and King Limhi began to consult with the people how they should deliver themselves out of bondage. And even they did cause that all their people should gather themselves together, that they might have the voice of the people concerning the matter. And it came to pass they could find no way to deliver themselves out of bondage, except it were to take their women and their children, their flocks and their herds and their tents, and depart into the wilderness. For Lamanites being so numerous, it was impossible for the people of Limhi to contend with them, thinking to deliver themselves out of bondage by the sword." So, all right, we'll take a little break there. In the previous chapters, we have seen that there have been several times that the people of King Limhi had tried to go up against the Lamanites to escape. And each time they just had massive loss of life. So they're realizing if they're ever going to be free, they're going to have to try a whole new way. And I like how they got their people together and just counseled together and strategized to see, what hasn't worked, what is going to work. And they have decided they're going to have to do this on the stealthy. They're going to have to get out a totally different way than by confronting their captors as in the past. Verse 3, "Now it came to pass that Gideon went forth and stood before the king, and said unto him, Now, O king, thou hast hitherto hearkened unto my words many times, when we have been contending with our brethren the Lamanites. And now, O king, if thou hast not found me to be an unprofitable servant, or if thou hast hitherto listened to my words in any degree, and they have been of service to thee, even so I desire that thou wouldst listen to my words at this time, and I will be thy servant, and deliver this people out of bondage. And the king granted unto him that he might speak. And Gideon said unto him," all right, so we're about to find out what kind of plan Gideon is going to propose. But I just love Gideon, and he is the same guy from the last few chapters, where he spared wicked King Noah's life. He was going to kill King Noah, who was an awful, wicked king, leading the people into all kinds of debauchery. And then another time he consulted with the leadership of King Limhi's people to help inform them that maybe it was the wicked priests of King Noah who had kidnapped the daughters from the Lamanites, and the Lamanites were mad about it and were coming to kill the people of King Limhi. It was Gideon that said, "Wait, I think it's probably the wicked priests that are hiding in the forest that did it." And so he was able to, bring that information to light. So Gideon is very creative. He's knowledgeable. He's like, I don't know, a Navy SEAL. He's pretty, he's got a lot going on. He's very cunning, and I like him. So he's the one that thought of this great idea that's going to help the people of King Limhi escape. And they do end up following through on his plans. So let's hear what plans Gideon has for rescuing these people out of bondage. So Gideon says, "Behold the back pass through the back wall on the backside of the city. The Lamanites, or the guards of the Lamanites, by night are drunken. Therefore, let us send a proclamation among all this people, that they gather together their flocks and herds, that they may drive them into the wilderness by night. And I will go according to thy command, and pay the last tribute of wine to the Lamanites, and they will be drunken. And we will pass through the secret pass on the left of their camp, while they are drunken and asleep. That we will depart with our women and our children, our flocks and our herds, into the wilderness. And we will travel around the land of Shiloh. And it came to pass that the king hearkened unto the words of Gideon. So, all right, they've got this idea, the very back part of the city, where it's under guard, but at night the guards are drunk. And they apparently have to pay a tribute of wine to the Lamanites. And so they're going to do that. And I'm going to assume they're going to make especially strong wine for them. And then everyone's going to sneak out. So I have no idea what the population is like at this point, but that sounds like a pretty scary plan to rely on someone's drunkenness, but they must get really, really sloshed to be that passed out for people to walk past them. But anyway, it works. We'll see. Verse 10, and King Limhi caused that his people should gather their flocks together. And he sent the tribute of wine to the Lamanites. And he also sent more wine as a present unto them. And they did drink freely of the wine which King Limhi did send unto them. And it came to pass that the people of King Limhi did depart by night into the wilderness with their flocks and their herds. And they went around the land of Shiloh and in the wilderness and bent their course towards the land of Zarahemla, being led by Ammon and his brethren. And they did take all their gold and silver and their precious things which they could carry, and also their provisions with them into the wilderness, and they pursued their journey. And after being many days in the wilderness, they arrived in the land of Zarahemla and joined Mosiah's people and became his subjects. And it came to pass that Mosiah received them with joy, and he also received their records and the records which had been found by the people of Limhi. So I'll just point out here that the people of Limhi, if you remember from a few chapters ago, they had actually sent out explorers while they were captive to the Lamanites. They sent out explorers looking for the land of Nephi, the land of Zarahemla where the Nephites were dwelling, to see if they could convince some of the Nephites to come help rescue them. But they never did find the land of Zarahemla. What they did find was a land covered by bones of people who had been annihilated. And they found records there on metal plates, and they were not able to translate them. But when Ammon came and discovered the people of Limhi later and said, "Hi, I'm Ammon and I'm a Nephite," and they were so excited to see Ammon, that's when Limhi said, "Can you translate these records?" And Ammon said no. But Ammon said that Mosiah could, who was the prophet king back at home in Zarahemla. So now the people of Limhi have escaped from the Lamanites, and they have gone over to Zarahemla, and they are now under Mosiah's rule. And this is so exciting because Mosiah is going to be able to translate those plates. And we get to learn later what was on those plates, what happened to those people that became annihilated. There's a whole other story there that we're going to get to read and learn wonderful lessons from these people who were annihilated. Some very sobering and important lessons that are so key to our spiritual and physical survival today, as we have much let's say, hatred and desire for war on every level, metaphorically, of what that can mean among us as people. And that record that Mosiah is going to translate, and that we'll get to later, so you can look forward to that, really warns against the kinds of divisions that we're seeing in our society today, and helps remind us that it's worshiping Christ and being a peaceable follower of Jesus Christ that is the antidote. So we'll get to that later, but I'm so excited to come up on those chapters in a little bit. So, of course, Mosiah, back to verse 14, receives the people of Limhi and those records with joy. And verse 15, it came to pass that when the Lamanites, so we're moving back over to what's happening with the Lamanites, when they found out that the people of Limhi had departed out of the land by night, they sent an army into the wilderness to pursue them. Naturally, they'd been collecting a 50% tax from these people, and these people just got away. So that's going to severely hamper their lifestyle, and they do not want that to happen. After they had pursued them 2 days, they could no longer follow their tracks, and therefore they were lost in the wilderness. So that's the end of, for now, of the Lamanites pursuing the people of Limhi. But we have not heard the last of Lamanite versus Nephite wars. In fact, that's an ongoing theme. And one of the things that I love about the Book of Mormon is all of the chapters about war, because we can learn so much from it, not only metaphorically, but literally as well. So, okay, let's talk about a couple lessons that maybe we could learn from this chapter, Mosiah 22, how the people of Limhi were finally able to escape from the Lamanites. A couple of things come to my mind, and forgive me if they seem like pretty obvious lessons, but hey, they're great lessons, even if they're kind of obvious. So the people of King Limhi, if you go back into their history, they had a good period of time where they were not worshiping God, especially under King Noah. They had really strayed from even the Ten Commandments. They were in every way departing from living a godly life. And so later, when King Limhi rises to power after King Noah is run out of town on a rail, he starts bringing his people around to awareness of God, being humble, praying, petitioning God for help. And then when he does so, they still are not able to escape Lamanite rule. It takes quite a while a couple of chapters ago, maybe, I'm not sure how many chapters ago, but during this period, it's pointed out in the scriptures how if you're slow to hear God, God is slow to hear you. He is listening, but he's going to let you have that gap to really humble yourself and think hard about, basically really being serious about doing the right thing. He's not always just going to come rescue the first thing. He lets the lessons settle in, if you will. So the people of Limhi have a period of very hard circumstances where they're being taxed and they're not able to escape. They keep getting beaten back, and yet they're still worshiping God and being humble and patient. And in fact, they get to the point where they decide, we're just going to need to be patient with what we're going through. We're going to quit trying to fight back. And which they did. And then eventually the people of Ammon came and they were able to devise a plan to leave peacefully without death. So symbolically, what this can mean in our lives is that maybe if we've walked away from God, maybe if we've really not taken our covenants or our discipleship seriously at all, and we're focused on worldly things, that we eventually will find some trying times in our life of our own making. And when we turn back to God, he hears us, but we shouldn't be discouraged if it takes him a little time to work, let us work through that humility that we need so much before we're actually going to get that deliverance. We need those lessons, and he's allowing us to learn those lessons. But as we accept our circumstances and we're humble and we say, okay, God, your timetable, not mine. Your will, not mine. And we're willing to bear up under what he's asking us to bear up while continuing to patiently petition him, there will be brilliant solutions. This was a brilliant solution by Gideon, who came up with the idea to get the guards drunk and slip out through the back. No death at all, and total freedom for the people. So it can be the same thing in our life, that it's very God's timing dependent. If it's not time for something to change in our life, it's not going to change. Do we need to repent more? Do we need to learn more? Do we need to wait on the Lord? What is that going to look like? But in God's timing, he will deliver us from all of the trials that we're under and all of those things that are so oppressive. But there are times that he won't quite deliver us yet. We've got a lesson to learn. And I think that's a good thing for us to reflect on and say, gosh, if I'm not delivered from my trial, can I be patient and wait on the Lord and do my part to be humble and to continue to petition him, and then watch for that glorious moment, that stroke of genius where there will eventually come some deliverance that we go, oh wow, now that I see how God did it, I can see that he did it way more brilliantly than I ever could have. And I know that has definitely happened in my life when I've been under trials that just seem unremittable. And then if I wait on the Lord with humility, there is the day where I'm like, oh wow, that was a way better solution than I would have thought of, and now I'm free from that problem. So all right, I offer that lesson to you, and I'm sure there's many more that we could learn from this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next chapter.